Hey, what's happening? Before we jump into the show, I wanted to see if you had any music on a hard drive. You have a band, you have a project, and you want to self-release your own music. Well, there's an easy way to do it. You can go to distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate and go get your music up on all the streamers. You keep 100% of your royalties, and you can get 30% off by using this code. It's a great, easy way to get your music up on the streamers and share it with your fans, your friends, your family, your mom, your dog, everybody. Everyone wants to hear it. But go to distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate, HYPHENATE, and send me the link. I want to hear it too. Send your mom the link. Send your dog the link. They all want to hear it too. We'd like to thank our sponsor, iZotope, the absolute leaders in intuitively designed plugins for audio restoration, mixing, and mastering. At iZotope.com, you'll find a plethora of tools and suites that will enhance your audio production, whether it's voice, video, podcast, or a full production recording session. Check out the industry-standard audio repair tool, RX11, or the multi-tool mixer plugin, Neutron 5, or the powerful Ozone 11 mastering suite, plus tons more. Go to iZotope.com and use the code FRET10 at checkout for 10% off. That's FRET10 to get 10% off at checkout. And again, the website is iZotope.com, IZOTOPE.com.
We couldn't find anywhere to camp. We couldn't find anywhere to go. We ended up just like staying in a parking lot, like at a truck stop. I think what was sketchy about it was just that everybody got consumed by mosquitoes, like fully consumed. I was sleeping under the van and I got so bit up.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Hyphenate, our show for Thursday, September 18th. It is a pleasure to be talking to you today. Wow. What a world we live in, right? What a time. What a time to be alive. On today's podcast, I am excited to bring my conversation with Russell Edling from the band Golden Apples to everyone here. We spoke a couple of weeks ago before the tour started, but now they are out on the road. They're an awesome band based out of the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area. You can follow them on their Instagram, Golden Apples USA. They are playing tons of shows. Where are they right now? Let's see. Here we are. Tour is kicking off tomorrow in Austin. So I think, we talk about all the fun touring experiences I think you heard at the beginning of the episode. We talk about sleeping under a van and getting demolished by mosquitoes. Hopefully they will not be doing that on this run of the show, this run of shows. But we got, Austin, Texas at Antone's tonight. Or no, tomorrow night, Friday. And then you got your Dallas, Texas coming after that. Ferris Wheelers, Mesa, Arizona on 9/22, the Rosetta Room. And then Los Angeles, that's where I live, on 9/23 at the Masonic Lodge. Oh yeah, that's going to be fun. That's a good one. It's right there in the heart of Hollywood. Not to be confused with the Lodge Room, another good venue here in the city. But the Masonic Lodge is there in Hollywood at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. San Francisco Swedish American Hall, that's a fun venue. Played there. Seattle, Washington, Fremont Abbey. I've not played there. That sounds like fun though. That's on 9/26. Portland, Oregon, 9/27. Polaris Hall. Boise, Idaho, Shrine Social Club, 9/28. Pittsburgh, PA, Bottle Rocket. That sounds like fun. 10/2. I just heard from noise artist from Pittsburgh, Andrew W. Allison. He sent in music. Remember when I say you guys should send me your music and I'll play it? I'm going to play Andrew's track at the end of the next Hyphenate halftime show. But PA is in the house. We got Golden Apples from Philly, and then Andrew W. Allison. I'm going to play on the halftime on Monday. Okay, where do we leave off this tour? Okay, Pittsburgh. Yes, on 10/2, Pittsburgh Bottle Rocket. 10/3, Philadelphia, PA, Laundrette. That sounds fun. 10/4, Washington, D.C., the Quarry House. Brooklyn, New York. 10/12, TVI. And then back to Philadelphia because that's their hometown gig at the Underground Arts on 10/17. And they got a bunch of support from Wicca Phase Springs Eternal. Come on, guys. What are we doing? go out and support this great band. They got a new record out on Lamo Records, so you can follow them on their Instagram, Golden Apples USA. You can Golden Apples, yes, with an S, USA. You can also find them.
Russell, what's happening, man? Thanks so much for coming on the podcast. How you doing?
You can also find them on the Bandcamp, goldenApples.bandcamp.com. And don't forget about the lamorecords.com. You can buy the records right there and join the Lamo fan club as well. So, Russell, thanks so much for jumping on the mic and talking it up. I hope you guys are having a great tour. I hope the tour will be good and very few mosquitoes to devour you while traversing this nation's highways and byways and playing music every night. I'm jealous. It sounds like a lot of fun. All right, everybody, without further ado, here is Golden Apples, and send me music, hyphenate@gmail.com. I want to hear what you're up to. If you have a band and you're playing music out there and you think I should hear it, or you would like somebody to hear it, send it to me. Why not? hyphenate@gmail.com. You can also follow me at Randy S. Randall on the Instagrams, and send this to a friend. Give a review if you have a place where you write reviews. If you like writing reviews of things like Yelp, I got really into Yelp a couple of years back. It's fun. When Dean and I were on tour doing No Age stuff, we were doing we got into writing Yelp reviews for like every truck stop, every like random Subway sandwich shop, or just Motel 6. Everybody got a Yelp review. It just was a fun kind of like meta social media experience of just kind of tapping in every Starbucks at every gas station we stopped at or truck stop we stopped at. We would write up a review because it was fun reading other people's reviews. It's a wild world out there. All right. Well, hope everybody's having fun. And here's my conversation with Russell. Russell, what's happening, man? Thanks so much for coming on the podcast. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah, man. It's great. I love the record. Tell me a little bit about making this record, and then we'll go backwards from there.
Sure. Well, I guess this record for me was a little different than other ones in that typically I'll do everything on my own in terms of the songwriting. I'll kind of come up with the songs, do demos, and then record them, usually with, the band. But for this record, I kind of did most of it myself, the tracking, most of the instrumentation, but I did work with, a handful of different drummers because I'm a terrible drummer. So I worked with some different folks in the city here in Philadelphia to actually do the tracking of those parts too. So I worked with my friend Tim at his studio, Blood Red Sky. I worked with my friend Zach, who played drums on a bunch of stuff at his studio, The Metal Shop. And just kind of built it up that way, and then still had plenty of time to do my own kind of tinkering stuff. And I do that here at my house. And then, and then I mixed the record with my friend Matt, who I've worked with for almost every single record that this band has ever put out. Matt has mixed, and it's, they're just the best. And I trust them with, bringing them this kind of like disheveled assemblage.
Woolly mess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I don't know. It just kind of came together that way. But it was cool because I got to work with so many different people on the engineering side and so many different people like, performing. So it was just a lot of fun. Felt like I kind of like let go of some of the control while still very much so, being in control of like the songwriting aspects of it.
And then when you're tracking the drums, are you in there like laying a scratch guitar part or vocals as well? Like how much do you rehearse with the drummers before getting them down on, recorded?
Yes. I mean, it kind of varies. Honestly, the craziest part about some of these songs was that like the drummer, like Zach, would just drum along to the demos because I'm so precious about demos that I'll want to keep elements of them. So and he's, I mean, like really, really impressive at playing drums and can just drum along to a demo like perfectly in time, which,
And then
again,
are you demoing to a click, or how do you sort of keep that from more? Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
So
There was one song where we didn't do that, but yeah.
And then is the drummer getting the click as well when he's doing it, or no, it's just kind of going off of you? Okay. I got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's wild, right? There's so many ways to build a song.
I know.
There's no one right way. There's all, lots of ways to get at it. And then how do you go about then with the live band? What's that like? I mean, are the people that were recording on it going out live as well, or no? It's like two separate animals.
It's kind of two separate things, because I feel like the live set is like different. It's just a different manifestation of it, which is, I think, fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool to be able to change things up a little bit. So yeah, they're definitely different. Some of the people, like my partner Mimi, she plays live and also did a bunch of recording. So she's a part of it on both sides.
That's cool. That's awesome, man. Yeah, no, I really like how the record sounds. It sounds incredible. It sounds like, people in a room together. So it's interesting to sort of hear the layered, nature of it.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of is and it isn't, I mean, one of the songs, Divine Blight, that one was literally just Mimi and I in our basement, just kind of like thinking that we were doing a demo, but then I just liked it so much that I was like, this should just be the song. Mm-hmm. So there are moments where it is just people in a room.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. It does feel organic. It doesn't feel like this kind of like belabored, like recorded project where like, ooh, okay. There's still a lot of the wild hairs still in there in a good way. They're going to make it feel fun and organic and alive.
Cool.
So tell me, so where do you come from and how'd you get started playing music?
I grew up in northeastern Pennsylvania, in the coal region, and I got into music pretty naturally because my older sisters were into it, and they would just like go to these mysterious things called shows and come back with like stickers and cassette tapes and stuff like that. And, I eventually tagged along to a show, and
in what cities were these shows in? Like, where was this happening?
I mean, I think they would go to this place called Cafe Metropolis a lot in a town called Wilkes-Barre. Okay. That was like about an hour away from where we grew up. And so, yeah, but other than that, I mean, there was this show every year that some of their friends would put on called Suckfest. And it was like, it was just like kind of like local bands, and then some like more regional bands would play. And I got to go to one of those one time, and it was like the coolest experience, and definitely got me kind of on the path,
That's cool. What were the bands like that were playing in that area at that time?
They were like scrappy punk bands, a lot of them. I didn't really realize this until much later, because I somehow like never really listened to Green Day much when I was a kid. But like I realized later that so many of the bands that like local bands sounded a lot like Green Day.
That's
and
funny.
I remember, and I think, I don't know, that was just something I kind of put together later. I was like, oh, this sounds like a lot of the local bands from where I grew up, but it's like, I see what's going on there. Yeah.
You were able to reverse engineer, like, oh, okay, they were probably wanting to sound like Green Day. Yeah.
Right.
That's so funny. And then when do you first pick up an instrument?
Yeah, I guess it wasn't until kind of quite a bit later. I was probably in like 7th grade. And I had been in a band with my friends, and I was just like the singer for some reason. And then, I wanted to learn how to play guitar, and my friend had gotten a new guitar, so he let me borrow his old one. It was like a Squier Strat, and that's when I started playing guitar. I think I learned how to play like a US Bombs song and an AFI song, and that was like all right, here we go.
This is legit. This is real now.
Yeah.
No fooling around.
Right.
That's awesome. And then when do you make it to Philadelphia? What was that process like, or what do you do after high school?
Yeah, I mean, I had a band in high school, and we were like, we had gotten to know some people from Philadelphia through booking shows in our town. We would have people come to our town from Philly or like Scranton, like northeastern PA, stuff like that. And I don't know, this group, this band was called US Funk Team, and they were from Philly, and they were just like so much fun. Like they were doing something that I'd never really seen a band do, which is like play music and just really visibly have fun while doing it.
It wasn't angsty.
No, but I mean, it was, but it was like fun still. And I just feel like it kind of like changed the game a little bit. And I remember just being like really gravitating towards that. And so when we were finishing high school, we were like, we should go to Philly because that's where like all this cool energy is. So that's basically what we did. I mean, I went to school here for graphic design, and all my other bandmates like moved down for for their collegiate pursuits. And we did the band here for a while. Again, this is my high school band. And then that band broke up, and then, music though was irreversibly just a part of my thing. So kept doing it.
That's awesome. And what about the venues and like the shows and stuff in Philly? Like where were you first going when you first moved in to town? Like what was happening then?
Yeah, it was like a lot of house shows. I remember house shows were so prominent then. They still are, but I feel like nowadays, like we're playing venues more often than not. But back then it was like, we were practicing in a house venue. We were playing in house shows all the time. We would go to house shows. Our friends would get a new apartment and, can you have shows in the basement? It was like the first question. But lots of house venues. And then we'd play at the Fire a lot. Which is like this sort of small-ish venue in, north, like, I don't know, kind of like North Philly, but sort of east of North Philly. And yeah, I think, the church, the First Unitarian Church was always like really cool, but we didn't get to play there for years because it was like for bigger bands and stuff, but we'd go to shows there a lot. But yeah, I mean, Philly just had such a rich, and still does, such a rich community. And I mean, yeah, so many great spots, so many great DIY spots. And I think there's just such a legacy of that here that is just great. Yeah. Yeah.
I remember the band we had before, No Age. We did our first US tour. And I think when we first played in Philly, we played in the basement, and it was raining, and it was like leaking into the basement. So we were like playing and with like standing in a few inches of water. And then at some point as the show was going on, and I don't know how many, more bands got added to the bill. Now it's like 6 bands or something, and it's 2 a.m. in the morning. We still haven't played, and we're on tour. And it was that someone was like, "Oh, that's not really rainwater. It's like the toilets are leaking. Like there's like a sewage leak upstairs." No. So then we realized, like, oh, we've been standing in like just like shit and piss like in the basement. God. We thought it was rainwater, and then like the truth came out. Somebody they were like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then I don't even know if we played. We must have played at some point, but it just really was one of those things. You're like, "What? This is a rough one." But then we've had many great shows in Philly since then. But I remember that was one of the early days, and it was like, "Oh, right, cool."
Yeah, that'll happen. I mean that happened to my basement once when we were practicing. We had used it as a practice space, and somehow that happened to us. And I remember going down in the basement, and like there's the drum kit, there's like all of our amps, and then there's just like water, and like there's corn in the water.
No. Oh,
and I was just like,
that's not right.
It was terrible. It smelled horrible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel you, but experiencing that at a show would be a whole other level of horror, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, by that point, I think, we'd come from LA, so we were probably about halfway through it, and I think but it was our first time, so it was a lot of, we hit every bump on the road and went face first into every mistake there was to make, and so I think we were probably pretty numb by that point, halfway through, just like, what is happening? Every night's something fucking gnarly. So just throw it on the pile of experiences, and we're not even halfway through. So it's good. It's the character builders.
Yep, that's how it goes,
Yeah. Yeah. Did you ever play the batting cages in Philly?
Yeah, many times. In fact,
what a fun venue that is. Do you have your baseball card?
Actually, I do. Yeah. It's so cool.
That's cool. It must be something as a local you get to keep yours. I know we took the picture, but we know, obviously we're not from there, so we never got to see ours. Man. Or maybe they tagged us on an Instagram post or something, but we didn't get the physical version of it.
I'm sure it was on the wall. I was at that show that you all played there.
Okay. That was fun. That was a while back.
That was a great show. Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
And I remember, they would always, at one point, I don't know if it was like this then, but they had all the cards on one of the walls.
Yeah. I remember seeing the Kelly Deal one. I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah. So cool. Such a legendary spot.
Yeah. Are they still doing shows? I haven't heard about it for a while. Okay. Yeah.
No, it's gone. Unfortunately. Yeah. That's the thing. It's like so many of those amazing spaces, like they go away.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's sort of the nature of the DIY all ages space is it burns bright but not for a long time. Yeah. What about like then, and for day job and for work and for other stuff? I mean, what have you been able to do? Or do you stick with graphic design stuff or visual design?
Yeah, that's what I do. I do design for like most of the design for the band is stuff that I do. And then I do work with a record label that the band is on, Lamo Records. And then I also just have like a full-time like product design job, like UX kind of design, which is a whole different like world of design thinking. But I've had like a bunch of jobs in design since I graduated. That's
cool. Yeah. UX is crucially important in any product journey from idea to explain what UX is to people who don't know it. How do you explain what UX is?
Basically, UX is kind of like it means user experience, and it's essentially like the designed experience that one has with the product. So it's like and it's not just about the visual elements per se, it's really just about like the overarching kind of experience that folks have. Like if you're working with an app, it's like how do you get the customer from like point A to point B in the app or
navigation
whatever.
And sort of site making, signage almost in some ways. It's usually in a digital product, right? That the UX happens. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like the work that I do is mostly for like web applications and sometimes it's like, for apps specifically, but mostly it's just for like, these business dashboards and stuff like that. I work for Comcast, so it's like very big business stuff. But it's I've struggled since I've been in this position, like in this industry to find balance between music and a job. And it's really hard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, this is your time, your experience, as a younger person going through it all. But I mean, I'm a little bit on the older side. I'm in my 40s, and it's always hard. It's always been hard.
Yeah.
But I think now is harder than ever to really sort of to have a gig that's creatively fulfilling and then somehow pay the bills. Like there's the gulf between those two, ideologies. To me, from my side of the world, is just always is like, wow, okay, you could have a day job 9 to 5 and fuck off at 5 o'clock, and then go practice all night and then come back in the morning and forget what your job was and relearn it every day. Whereas now it really feels like there's the amount of work it takes to be in a band and promote your band and to do all the creative stuff that goes into, you're not just writing a song with your friends and hoping somebody recorded it on a boombox because you were too drunk to remember. And then, and then, it's like, it's a lot of work intensity going into the band experience. And then the job experience is expected to be like a lifelong commitment where people get fired every other day. And you're like, who can commit to this job when nobody even knows if all the managers say is, AIs are going to replace you all. So don't get too comfortable.
I know it's such a sort of inhospitable environment right now with the AI thing. It's something that I feel like everyone is so wary of where I work, which is actually, I'm really grateful for that. But it's just, it's wild. I think I used to have a job that was way more like, I used to try to do it so I'd have a creatively fulfilling job and and music. I just kind of wanted like the best of everything, I guess.
Yeah. That would be a natural instinctual sort of position, right? Like, let's make the best of this. No one wants to suffer. Right. Sure.
I think eventually I got to a point where I was like, I kind of just want like a job. Like I want a job that I don't feel so emotionally tethered to,
Yeah.
And so with that sort of like paradigm shift, I think it was easier for me to be like, okay, I'm going to pursue like a more corporate job if it makes sense, because maybe that's how I'm not burned out, because when I had the more creatively fulfilling design job, it was like, I had to put so much of myself into everything. And then I had nothing left for music. I had nothing left for my friends. I was just like totally cooked at the end of the day. And now I have a better balance of that. And I think that kind of like balance is even like, supported and encouraged by the people I work for, which is kind of surprising. I'm like, really? But so far it's been pretty chill, and I feel like I'm actually able to maintain a little bit of brain space at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, you bring up such an interesting point. I mean, that idea of really, not being as a creative person and as somebody, with a music career, with a music, catalog and output and everything, that having a job that really requires, all of squeezes you like a toothpaste tube, and really requires a lot of your creative capital, that it can be hard to split things. How many ways can you cut the same pie and still have enough left over for your own personal projects, versus something that can really just almost be that mind numbing kind of like, okay, like this is not my personal thing, and then allows you to have that sort of peace of mind, or at least save some of that creativity, or even the noodling or daydreaming at the mindless job. Like, ooh, that's a good idea for a song. That's a good idea. I want to try that tonight at practice.
Totally.
This, allow you to sort of split your brain in both ways, and it's such a mature position too. It's one of those things that it would be hard. I have 2 kids, both in elementary school, and that'd be a tough thing for me to try to explain to them. Like, maybe don't go full throttle at your job if you have other ambitions. It doesn't sound counterintuitive, but there's a level of experience, maturity there that can pay off as wisdom.
Yeah, you really have to kind of like live it, I think, and then be like, okay, this is actually not great, so I'm going to make this adjustment and that adjustment. I wouldn't have arrived. I would have been horrified, to be like, to be told when I was like sweating it like big time in college, to be like, one day you're just going to work at Comcast. And, because people even would be like critical of those kinds of jobs in school. Like, sure. Oh, you don't want to, and I was like, yeah, no, I want to be like creative. I want to be like doing something really cool.
Sure. I mean, that sounds good, right? Yeah, of course. You know what I mean? But again, then, there's just so many, there's so many pivots and little decisions and little things you make in life, you know what I mean? That you find yourself in a position of like complexity that just doesn't quite, it's not your, I don't know. I just don't think, being in art school, complexity as much as you feel like it's complex at the time, you know what I mean? There's a lot more sort of like, but you need to be, because I think there's an ideological, force, and, it's just a sense of like, ambition and inspiration that you're just running on pure naivety and energy and cheap beer and sugar. It's just like, I'm in high school. This is fucking great. And you need that emotion and all that commitment to the pure ideals of this thing and the art that you're being inspired by, and how you synthesize it and sort of absorb it into your skin. And then as life punches you continually in the face, you start to like, okay, I build up the correct amount of calluses or bruises.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I totally agree with that. I mean, yeah, it's just, you just really have to go through it and figure it out. And now I'm at a point, where I feel like I actually get to put energy into doing cool things like with music, and get to be like really picky about that, and like rip a song apart and start all over again. And I don't know, it's just like, whereas otherwise I just wouldn't have had energy or time for that. Like, I used to always have this feeling in jobs where it'd be like 2:30, like an hour or so after lunch, where I'd start to get really excited about some idea, whether it was like a song or like something like that, some visual thing for the band. And then I'd be like, okay, when I get home, I'm going to work on that. I'm going to do this. And then I'd get home and I would just be like totally wiped out, and I would be like 25 years old or something. I'm like, I shouldn't be so, I should still be able to do stuff. But I don't know. It's just, I was putting too much of myself into too many things.
Yeah. Well, that's easy to do too. You know what I mean? There's like I said, there's a lot expected of being in a band as well. It's not just writing songs, right? There's all these opportunities for creative decisions and creative energy to be put places. Tell me a little bit about Lamo Records. What's the story with them?
Well, Lamo Records has been around since 2012, I believe. And I think it's basically, at this point, it's my friend Eric Osman, who is he's the Moon Man, so to speak. They're like mascot guy is this Moon Man character. And basically, I think the label started to put out their Friends album, and I think Eric was like, sure, I'll put out a record. And
famous last words.
Yeah, right. And then the record did really well. The band was called Modern Baseball, and the record kind of blew up, and that enabled them to do more stuff. And eventually I kind of started working with Eric just to do little visual things, and then became kind of like a key, like just like a mainstay at the label for visual stuff, making, doing some album artwork, doing a lot of like random design assets for things. And it's been a lot of fun because I know Eric really well, and the band is on the label, and we just have like a really good working relationship that we've had for a really long time. And we are like, fast friends, and it's really nice because I feel like it's hard to have that relationship. Like, you like put a record out and it doesn't do well, and you're like, well, I wish the label did more, you know what I mean? Or, I wish blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's been interesting because we've had those conversations, like at times, like, Eric will say things like, well, maybe you should try more of this stuff. And I feel like we have a lot of these conversations that are sort of difficult to have, but I think since we have so much trust with one another, it's like, the egos are not as fragile. And it's been really nice to just be able to have kind of like, I mean, he's been a part, he even used to play drums in the band.
That's cool.
So he's like fully aware of everything about the band. So it's really cool.
That's interesting. Yeah. No, I mean that label artist, relationship can be anything. It could really, it could be a million different things, but being good friends is probably the best case scenario, I would imagine, is that, you know what I mean, that you can be honest with each other and, you know, say, like, talk through those things. Cause I think that's what gets hard, or can be hard, about, you know, the business of the music business, is that sort of feeling of like, what is everybody in this for? You know, so there's people can present as friends and you go, oh, well, you're just trying to make money off of me. You're just trying to rip me off, or just trying to exploit whatever goodwill that we have in the world, and versus knowing somebody for a long time and helping on both sides. And there's I imagine that helps a lot when you understand each other's intentions, I guess, in a way. It's like he knows you're not intending to make a record that doesn't sell, and you know that he's not trying to fuck you over your record and not promoting. He's doing everything he can. You're doing everything you can, and sometimes that lines up and sometimes it doesn't.
Right. I mean, it's like, you know, one thing we've talked about a lot, Eric and I, is just how it doesn't matter how much you think you've set things up the right way. Like there is no right way. There is no like path. It's just like, you know, it just, we've had so many conversations that end up just being like, you know what, you just got to like make the music that you want to make. And that's like the truth, you know, ultimately, is just do what you want to do and have fun. And I don't know, the endless quest to reduce expectations, you know, that's a tricky one.
It's a lifelong pursuit right there.
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's yeah. I mean, it's like, that's such a fragile relationship, but I guess it begins with you. I always try to take the approach that I'm the audience, that I'm making music for me, and there's other people like me out there. You know, if I think it's good, then someone else probably thinks it's good, and that's about the best I can do. If I like it, then someone else will like it, and that's it. And if I put it out and I'm the only one that likes it, well, shit, at least I did that. Right. You know, versus spending all that time and energy and for no money and for nothing really, you know, and then, you know, that worst case being, well, I hate it, but everyone else loves it. You know, there's really no coming back from that, you know?
Yeah. That would be a strange reality. Yeah. I guess that must happen for some people, though.
I wonder. Yeah. I mean, probably not as much as it used to. I mean, I always loved hearing those like behind the scenes, like where are they now, or VH1 stories, like the true stories where like, oh, it was the joke song that we did at the end of the session. And then the label said, it's the single, you know, then became Quiet Riot or something. It's like, I don't know how much truth is really in all of those things. I think it's a way of like, you know, a popular band deflecting their big sellout hit. That I imagine there's something built into that they thought like, oh, we didn't mean to be successful. There was a lot of that kind of, you know.
I remember reading about Nirvana was saying that, like, you know, or I guess it was probably Kurt Cobain directly was saying that, you know, In Utero was like the record that they wanted to make. They wanted to make a record that was like something that they would like, you know. And I just thought that was really cool. I mean, I think probably coming off of like Nevermind and all that, I feel like they were maybe a little just wanted to get control back or something. But I just think In Utero is such an incredible record. I listen to it all the time, and it's like it's just refreshing. The band at that scale can still be like, man, we should just make something that is like just cool, like something that we would be impressed to hear, you know, and just deflect all of the pressures of the industry.
Yeah. I wonder, you know what I mean? Yeah. I always feel like, you know, in the case of Nirvana, I think they were hugely ambitious. I think Kurt Cobain really was, you know, somebody who wanted to succeed, you know, and I think he did a lot of stuff that put him in that position, you know, as much as it probably blew up beyond what he would have imagined it would have been. But, you know, there's so many, I feel like there's so many, not necessarily like you know, like, you know, like nothing. I don't think he's being disingenuous, but it's you know, it takes a lot of work to do all of that stuff, and a lot of saying yes. You know what I mean? Like you can't really, you know, he seemed like a strong enough person. He would have said no to a lot of things, but you know, being on MTV, making music videos, and participating in all this stuff, it's like if you want to do that stuff, you really have to commit to those things. You know what I mean? No one can trick you into being a rock star. You know what I mean? It's as hard as he made it sound. I feel like in some way that was part of the pose, or part of the you know, as much as he didn't come off that way, he had such an authenticity. But I have to think like Yeah, but even within utero too, I always think that they still had a remix. They still let somebody else, whether Andy Wallace or somebody, come in and you know what I mean. So it wasn't really the full Albini, vision, that they still succumbed to something. So there was always, some kind of compromise. But no, it's a great record. I mean, I was there. I was there in real time as it all happened as a kid, and I was like, "This is great." And then Unplugged was like, whatever, a month later or something. It feels like it all happened like within this 2-year period.
Yeah. I remember like being on family trips, and we had In Utero on cassette, and like opening up the jack, the insert, and it was like this like big like accordion fold, like body thing. And I mean, that honestly, like stuff like that was kind of my intro to like design and stuff too. It's just like that. And I remember we had a CD of Rancid and Out Come the Wolves.
Okay.
And like the insert was all like, all the lyrics looked like they were handwritten, and I was just like, whoa, someone like wrote this. Like I didn't really get it. I was very young, and I
wonder if it was a typeface. Can you look at it now and know? Did someone just typeface it?
I think it
was real handwritten.
It was handwritten, but I thought like literally that one was handwritten.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And so yeah, but getting like being able to see stuff like that was like really cool, and just like I always think about the In Utero accordion fold insert. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it just goes hand in hand with just those physical, records or physical tapes or physical media, just being this inherently in-depth experience. You were literally touching with it, smelling it. And I always remember how those tapes smelled when you take the cellophane off, and you're just like, ooh, the printer, the printer ink or the paper, that kind of weird, like glossy sort of thing, had this kind of like sweet, pungent sort of, sour sort of smell to it, and you're just like, then that would live in your car, and you get in your car and your car smelled like new tapes or something, as all the plastic was oxiding, and hopefully not melting in the center console. Where, as a band releasing records now, I mean, how do you struggle with that? Obviously you're a designer, you're a fan of creating these things. Like how do you interact with, the digital versus physical? And I mean, what do you bring something into it? Is that an influence, or how do you feel about how you balance those things?
I definitely think it's an influence. I always try to like do something with our records that feels like tangible. I think, one of the things that I with the last couple albums, I just like to do as much by hand as possible in the art, like, generation process. Like, and then we're doing something for this record where I also co-own an art supply store in the neighborhood.
Oh, cool.
And, we're going to do this little thing where next Saturday night, we're going to have people come over to the shop, and basically just like, I'm going to have a bunch of blank, like insert, like jacket sized sheets of paper. And, basically like people can just like draw on them, and then we're going to put them inside like a poly bag with the record, and have these like sort of exclusive, like one of a kind, album artwork, so that we can send them to some local record stores, so that like people can get these like weird, unique, copies of the album. And then we're going to donate a bunch of money to this local organization called Beyond the Bars that like does a lot of great stuff with music education in the city. So it's like, it's just a fun way to like use art to, I don't know, just do something different, bring people together, like just create like bridges within the community. And I just think it's really cool to do things like that whenever you can. And it's just as like a visual person, there are so many opportunities to do that. And it's like, all of a sudden you're bringing people together, and it's just because of like the concept of visual art, and it's pretty cool.
That sounds awesome. I mean, I love, just being able to just have something in your hand, you know what I mean? Just in that, you know what it came from the artists themselves.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And then what about the touring? When does the touring start, and how do you tackle that?
Well, we're not totally sure how we're going to tackle it yet, because we're doing this tour in next month, and it'll be the first proper tour that this band has done ever.
Oh, okay. This is the first real get out of town run.
Yeah, we've done shows. We played in Atlanta 2 years ago, so that's pretty far for us. And we did shows down and up, but crossing the Mississippi is that's a whole other thing, so we're going to be doing that, and I'm really excited for that. Our friend Matt, who mixed the record, is also going to come with us, and they're going to play keyboards and have some samples and stuff like that to really fill the songs out, which would be great. And yeah, we're going out with our friends Wicca Phase Springs Eternal, who we've known them for a real long time, and they're also Adam is from that band, is from Northeast PA, and I've known him since we were 16 years old. So it's just going to be really nice to do something like this, but also be surrounded by old friends and stuff like that. Will be really nice. But yeah, it's going to be so fun to get out there. I think the first show is the day that the record comes out, so that'll be really sweet.
Cool.
And yeah, I can't wait to be out there. I took my van to the garage, and I was like, okay, so I'm going to drive this thing across the country. Can you make sure that it's going to be okay? And they're like, okay. So hopefully we're good. But if we break down, I'm going to be calling the garage on the road,
What kind of van is it? How old is it?
It's a 2001 Dodge Ram 3500.
Oh,
it's
huge. Yeah. It sounds like a lot of gas.
It's kind of
it's a beast.
Absurd.
Yeah.
It's gigantic, but I love that van so much. Every time I'm in the van, it's usually for a band thing, and it's just oh, cool. Yep. Music stuff.
Yeah. That's fun. That's exciting. Yeah. I mean, you just need make sure the tires are good, the brakes are good, and it's not leaking oil, burning oil the whole time. I mean, that's all of that stuff. We got into a habit at some point with No Age where we just rented minivans. I think because it was just the two of us too. We didn't need that much room, and it was cheaper, and no one was ever looking to break into the Soccer Mom van.
Right.
We could just park it wherever, and it just was relatively blended in. It didn't look like a band on tour with expensive pawnable equipment inside.
Yeah, that's always the fear.
Right. Yeah, you want to have the cool van, but also there's something about having the unknown, the inconspicuous van that just nope, don't worry about us. Nothing to see here. We kind of got away with that for a lot of years, and just okay, this is easy.
Maybe if I get a town and country logo and stick it on the Ram, they'll be oh, it's just.
I've always tried. Yeah, I think I've always thought on the road, what is the magnetic decal you could put on the side of a van that nobody wants to mess with, some kind of septic tank, cleaning or servicing or something that you're just you know what, I know it's a van, but there's just nothing in there for me. There's just nothing that I want or fish guts emporium or something, just something really that just feels foul. It wouldn't even be worth your time going in there.
That's a great idea. Thinking about what would be just the ultimate deterrent,
right? Yeah. If you were looking for, if I broke that window, I could get $5, but it's not even worth it for that. You just really want to make it so uninteresting and unsavory.
It's so hard to think of something that everybody would detest,
right? Yeah.
Because if it was if you made it into almost a political thing, if you made it look like a campaign vehicle,
but then that almost calls too much attention. Yeah. Because you're going to have one side or the other get excited or get against it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think something fecal. I think you go that route.
Yeah. You gotta go fecal.
I think that's it. Yeah. That's the best I've ever come up with. We have yet to do it. Like I said, we just usually get when we rent a car or, rent a van, it's the newest, shiniest Soccer Mom van. And it just was nope, nothing to see. No one, and then we just throw a big blanket of junk. I've seen people where they'll sew trash into a blanket, like McDonald's wrappers, and like just crumpled up receipts and just cups and things fold over, and they'll sew them into a blanket, and then you can throw that blanket over everything.
Wow.
So that it just looks like it's just a pile of trash and nothing's underneath it.
That's impressive,
right? Yeah. I mean, you really got to go out of your way to make this folk art, but it probably helps.
I'm just imagining like being in an exhibition, like remember bands, and like there'd be like a blanket with trash sewn into it, like as part of the exhibit.
Yeah, like, we toured with this. Somebody get the trash blanket. Yeah. We're about to go into the Motel 6. Yeah,
there'd be like,
I forgot to throw the trash blanket over the snare. You can still see it through the window. Somebody go out there. Okay.
Oh my God. I wouldn't. Yeah.
You never know, man. You got to get creative.
Absolutely.
What were you going to say?
There's like a pee bottle in the exhibit too.
Always need one of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. No, I've definitely liked pulling off the road to go pee, just because you just need to get out of the van at some point. It was always worth it. I was always like a big fan of just like, no, we're getting off. And nobody needs to suffer this much especially after the first couple of years of doing it. It was just like, everyone needs to stretch their legs. Everyone needs to get the fuck out of this van and just go wandering
Absolutely.
around. You know what I mean? Those are natural breaks that just have to happen.
When you guys would tour, would it just be literally the two of you? Like,
we did a lot of tours like that. We started to bring a front of house person pretty early on. Mm-hmm. So that was nice. So that was at least a third. And then our friend Jordan would be kind of our like roadie, quote unquote, or like merch person. Somebody just to sit with the merch. So usually we had 4. We definitely would do two like very early on, or if we were just doing like a West Coast run, we could do just the two of us. But once the longer, like month-long things or 2-month-long runs, and then in Europe, same thing. We'd have a driver. Our friend Brom would kind of tour manage and drive, just because at some point Europe is so like confusing, and the roads and I just was like, I don't want to. I did it our first thing with the band before No Age. I drove in Europe, and I was like, if I could not do that, my life would be so much more enjoyable. I'd actually enjoy this trip to Europe versus having to drive on roads and cobblestone streets and roundabouts and signs. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck any of this says.
Right.
So we had, I usually have a driver, tour manager in Europe, and then same thing front of house. And then at some point, I think, with that record, everything in between, we had a lighting person, or like a video sort of like projection person, and then a third person on stage with us as well. So I think at some point, and then the opener we usually would bring with us as well. So I think we had like 7 people. We usually had like a solo opener, lights, audio, merch. So it got big. We did get a crew together at some point, but
it's just hard to travel. Like I feel like, it's really hard I do a lot of the driving.
Me too.
It's just
I love to do the driving. I preferred it. If I could, and especially in the States. Yeah. But you get tired.
But
you got to just
someone to talk to,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, and even just playing music or something, or passing the phone around, or just something. Yeah. You need that kind of thing. What's your longest drive you have coming up? Do you know? Have you gone through it?
Well, I mean, we've got a couple doozies for sure. We have to drive from Philadelphia to Austin just to get started.
Oh, okay. That's at least 2 days there.
Yeah. So then we were going from Dallas to Phoenix, basically, and we have a day off in between. But that's a long one.
You'll need that one, yeah. Huh.
And then the tour with the Wicca Phase shows, they end in Portland, and then we have, on our way home, we have a show in Boise, and then a show in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So
got it. With 2 days in between.
I think 3, maybe. It's kind of it's
doable
not,
for sure.
Yeah, it's not crazy, but we'll be sitting there in the car driving for hours and hours. So it'll be be interesting.
Yeah. I always try to, before a tour, especially if you're like kind of self-TMing and driving and stuff, I would try to just walk through the tour, like take an hour or so, like, a month or something beforehand, and just walk through every day and go, okay, we're waking up here, we're driving, and then we're lunch or something, food is going to happen at some point, and then the load in, and then we're staying somewhere, and wake up and then just walk through every day and go, where's the problem? Kind of look for the thing of like, oh, we're going to be fucked here because we got to load in at 2:00. We'd have to leave by 5 a.m. and the night before we're only getting in at midnight. So that's only a 5-hour sleep thing. Like what can we, sometimes you can't do anything, but at least if you know it and you kind of write out like a sort of tour Bible or a tour book, with everything like printed out in the 3-ring binder, you can kind of look through it and then you share it, because that was a big thing I learned too, especially with just the two of us. I was like, I don't want to be the only one who knows what the fuck is going on. I want to make sure everybody at least has access to this Bible, so any questions, because you're going to get spaced at some point. So it's like, let's, here's the big thing. People add notes to it. If there's something you have, like there's a restaurant you heard about, like write it in there, or like there was, because interviews will come up, or a photo shoot or something, or in-store or record store you want to go to, friends, and then just write it all in there. So every city has its own page, and then everyone can kind of add to it and sort of be aware of it. Like, oh, right, that's the place we want to go to. And then it just helps, like, you share the load that way, and then go, were we supposed to be there too? Was there a time change? That's always the thing too. You're fucked. Right. You're like trying to get there. You're like, oh wait, but that's somehow, Arizona is always either an hour off or ahead, or it doesn't go, they don't change or fall back. They do something fucked up in Arizona. So we've been an hour behind in Arizona so many times. And you're just like, but
oh man,
we have made it. I did all the thinking, but I didn't realize you fuckheads don't change your clocks like everyone else does in the country. So now we're screwed.
I didn't realize they don't.
They don't.
Yeah. This is a great consideration that I will be making a tour Bible for sure.
Just,
so that,
usually I do like the, the venue of that, or the address venue, like any advancing info that they have. And then just any kind of like food, if Dee and I are both vegan and we're both record nerds and gear nerds. So, just that consideration, like just quick Google search, like I'll print it up. Like here's like the load in info, the time to be there, the phone number to call, like contact. There's that was always at the top, and then extra shit that we just was like, cool, yeah, we always like this place, always like that place, and then we always got away with like booking like shitty hotels or motels outside of the big towns after. Like we would usually like check in, or we'd like sound check, grab food, and then while you're waiting for food in between sound check and show, then you usually go, okay, are we staying in town, or should we drive an hour outside of town? Will it be cheaper? And then you just do like a quick kayak or a quick sort of like map search. Like, okay, there's a Motel 6 that's a little outside. They're going to go off at $100, and like, could we survive that, or is everybody feeling we got to go La Quinta? How bougie what can we get away with? Can we do a Hilton Express? How crazy can we get on this particular day? And then everyone sort of chimes in. But again, this was a 2-man operation. But I like sharing. I like sharing the responsibility only because inevitably something will fuck up, and if everybody has eyes on it, then everybody can collectively share the fuck up. Versus like if you're the only person who has all the information, and then life is life, and something's gonna break or fuck up.
Sure.
And then you're like, oh, it's all on you, or you feel bad, or like, oh fuck. It's like, hey, we all had eyes on this thing. We got to do this as a group. We're here together. Share the reward, share the blame. It's like, if it goes great, we all did it. If it goes all fucked up, we all fucked up. And then it doesn't land on your shoulders. That's what I've learned in the decades of doing dumb shit and being tired and traveling. It's like, you don't want to be the only person who has eyes on the book. Make sure everybody has eyes on it. Only for the sense of like plausible deniability. Like, hey, I don't know, it's going to happen.
I mean, it's so funny how much you just can't control any of that stuff. I remember being on tour like I guess it was like 10 years ago in a previous band. And we we're so we never would stay in hotels because it wasn't punk.
Oh, yeah.
So we would always just like assume that we would stay with someone, in the city that we were in, or if not, we would like camp or something. We did a lot of camping. We never had like a tent. We would just like basically sleep in the dirt, which is so gross. But it was like what we thought we should do. And I remember like one time we were driving from, I feel like maybe somewhere, we were going from, I think, Alabama to New Orleans. I forget, like maybe like Birmingham or something.
Birmingham's great. We've had great shows there. Yeah.
Yeah. And we couldn't find anywhere to camp. We couldn't find anywhere to go. We ended up just like staying in a parking lot. like at a truck stop.
Ooh, that can get sketchy.
And it was just I think what was sketchy about it was just that everybody got consumed by mosquitoes, like fully consumed. Like, I remember
outside? You guys slept outside?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Gnarly.
I was sleeping under the van and I got so bit up. And then like some people were sleeping on top of the van, like in the van with the windows down, still getting. It was just like, after that, I feel like we were like, there's got to be a better way to do this.
Yeah. Well, it's basic kind of like DIY TMing, tour managing. But if you look at the guarantees, it can be a rude awakening, or it can just be a nice sort of heads up. Like, okay, here's worst case scenario. Here's all the guarantees, or here's what, we should expect, or like lowest viable product sort of thing. Like, what could we expect out of this thing? And then you go, okay, if we don't sell any merch, which isn't going to be true, you'll sell something, but like anticipate for nothing. Here's, what we have to spend, and then kind of break it up, and then just go, well, this way we'll probably break even, but again, it sounds like you got a big crew. So then, you have one person book, you could take turns sleeping on the floors. We'd always have like one person in a bed and two people on the floor. You can get 4 people in a room, that kind of shit. And then maybe you bring like a camping pad. We've done that, like even like recent tours, you know what I mean? Like, and then you just circle, like, okay, well, I have the bed tonight and I get the floor take turns off and on, everybody. But at least there's a shower, there's a bathroom with a door on it, all that kind of stuff. Like, as you, especially with ladies and as, as people get older, you just want to like have some privacy. That's where that was the hardest part with like the staying with people, was just like, there's no privacy. I'm just looking for just a clean bathroom. It doesn't have to be great, but just with a door that has a lock on it. I just need some moment to be alone here, because that'll drive you crazy. I'll make a tour go so much longer.
It is crazy, isn't it? How like, I feel like, I don't know, touring, when you tell people who don't know like what it means to go on tour, that you're going on tour, they're like, oh, dude, sick. Like, I remember when I was in high school, I went on our first ever in my high school band's tour. And it was like, I told people at work, like, yeah, we're going to do this little tour. And I think they just imagine like, a bus.
Rock stars. Yeah.
And the whole thing. Yeah. And then I had to just be like, no, that's really not what it is. And then I'm just like, like sleeping. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Just like sleeping, like on some stranger's like kitchen floor, just thinking like how different the lived experience of touring is compared to what, a lot of people think. And I just think it's wild, because it is very bare bones and scrappy. But I think even some musicians are like, what? This should be more like cushy for me. And I'm just like, I don't know. It's kind of a dicey endeavor.
Yeah. You never know, man. Yeah. I mean, I think it's from my early on in my creative experience, I learned, that kind of feeling of just like, if you keep it econo, if you keep it small, then your dreams can be more easily, or your dreams can start to enter the realm of accomplishable. You know what I mean? But like, if you can be happy with not much, life gets a lot happier. It's sort of a negotiation within yourself of like, what do I really need to be happy? Here are the 5 basic things. And like, that does not include a fur coat. It does not include a luxury car. It does not include, air conditioning, but it does include, locks on the door. It does include, like a book that I like. It does include, clean food or something, or not fried food or something, whatever it is your own personal version of happiness is. And, and then you just you go from there, like just keep it small. And then you go, okay, so I only need to make, $700, to then come home and pay rent with my 6 roommates, and we,
right.
It's like whatever that is, it's like, then it starts to become doable. But, but that's what I'm saying. The life is touring's more expensive. Everything's more expensive than it was 5 years ago. And except the tickets aren't more expensive. Well, maybe the tickets are more expensive, but that means less people come, or whatever it is, there's like, it's the hard trade-off of finding that correct, ratio of how to make it all work.
That reminds me of, I was talking to Mimi, again, my partner, and we were talking about how much we should sell t-shirts for,
Yeah.
And I feel like, I've been selling t-shirts for like $15 for like 15 years. So maybe it's time to reassess how much a t-shirt should cost, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like, I always print them myself. So I'm like, well, I don't know. It doesn't really cost that much because I get the blanks and I do it all. But it's like, that should cost something too. You know, I don't know. It's just, it's funny.
Yeah, no, those are all considerations. You know, I remember, the first time we sold a shirt for $20, you know, and it was nuts. It was like, what are you talking about? Especially this was, you know, decades ago. And that seemed, but there was a feeling, I think it was when we went to Japan, you know, it was like, the feeling was the promoter there told us, like, if you sell it for cheap, no one will buy it because they think it's low quality. So if you sell it for more, people assume it's higher quality and they'll want to buy it. And you're just like, it was like, okay, whatever you say. I mean, it was expensive. You know, it cost us a couple grand to get over here. Like, you know, we're willing to pay up. You know, we're starting off in the hole, so we're willing to, you know, charge whatever you think is correct just to make our money back. And it worked. So who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah, you know, you never know. You never know what works. I think what was the rule of thumb that like Ian MacKaye from like Fugazi days and Minor Threat days, it was like the shows were $5 because that's what it cost to go to a movie at the time. You know, like I think Ian's whole philosophy was not that $5 was some magical price. It was just the price of going out for the night. Like he didn't think, he kind of, you know, kept it to what were movie prices. Cause that was something else you could do for the night. Like you could go see a band or you could go see a movie. So whatever, you know, tickets cost, whatever a movie cost. And again, being that like, if you didn't like it, he'll give you your money back or he kicks you out. You know, it's not going to cost him an arm and a leg to kick people. He didn't feel like he owed the audience something more than just a fun night out or you know, it was entertainment ultimately. So
yeah, that's a good policy.
Yeah. But if you just think about it, like if you were to go out for the night, you know, what would you expect to spend, you know, and cause you go to shows, you know, and it's that kind of, again, like the thing, you're your audience. So what would you be happy with to go see a band, you know? And then it's like, don't sell yourself short. Like take that for account. Or even like if a band just was selling a t-shirt for this price, would you pay for it? And you go, yeah, you know, and I don't know. It's all hard.
I think one of the things I've struggled with my whole life is like applying like the way I think about other people to the way I think about myself like that. Like I'd be like, yeah, well, whatever band I'm seeing is probably actually a good band. You know? So they would deserve, you know, anything they want, but not me.
Right. Yeah. Well, you know, as you go, it's those are ongoing investigations that we'll search it out. Awesome, Russell. Well, thank you so much. Where can people listen to the record? I mean, this will be coming out, I think, right before the tour starts. So the record should be just now coming out. Where can people see all your tour dates and listen to the record and buy the record?
Yeah, I think, you know, right now I put everything on our Instagram, which is probably not the best way to do things, but I know that that's a place where you can get, you know, any updates about the tour and get the record. And let's see, I know lamorecords.com is going to have a bunch of the information and you can get the records from there. Bandcamp is great, you know, and yeah, it's out there.
Cool. And what's the Instagram handle?
It's Golden Apples USA.
Awesome. All right. So everybody go there, follow them to see all the tour dates and go buy the record, listen to the record, go buy the record, see them on tour. Oh yeah. Before we go, have you been to Golden Apple Comics in LA ever? This was like one of my favorite like comic book stores. It was on Melrose Avenue. I think it still is. They've moved a couple times, but it was like the first like big comic book store. Like normally they were in like small, like little, like, you know, storefronts. I remember as a kid, Golden Apple had like that kind of like almost not quite warehouse size, but as a small child, it felt like a warehouse. It was huge. It was more than 2 rows of comic book shelves. It was big for comic book stores back in the day. And I think I went to, it was like Rob Liefeld and Jim Lee. I think it was right when when the X-Force was coming out. I feel like they did a signing there, and it was cool. The cool like coming into town, like Golden Apple Comics. It was very 80s. I think this.
Oh, you know what? I think I actually saw that. I think I was right by there last time I was in LA.
They're on Melrose and La Brea, I think, or they were. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Okay, but they haven't given you a cease and desist.
No, not yet. It must be the S, you know, the Golden Apples, the plural is what's saving us there.
There we go. Yep. Looks like they're still open. Yeah. Golden Apple Comics. All right. Well, if you're in LA, you should at least take a picture out front
I will. One of the people that's coming with us is like he writes graphic novels, so I'm sure he'll want to go anyway.
Yeah, definitely there's plenty of nerd stuff available. Oh, now I'm going down a rabbit hole. I just opened up their website. Okay. Anyway. Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Golden Apples on Instagram, right? Golden Apples USA on the Instagram. Follow you there. More tour dates coming, and the record is out. What's the name of the record? Tell me the name of the record.
It's called Shooting Star.
Shooting Star. Awesome. All right. Well, Russell, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Randy. Yeah. This is awesome.
Awesome. Yes, Russell, thank you so much for coming on. I hope everybody is doing well and having a good time. Yeah, it's great talking. It's a really fun record. It's right in that sweet spot of indie rock, kind of krautrock, and a little bit of noise in there for good measure, but plenty of great pop hooks as well. So yeah, go check out Golden Apples on the road right now. I read off all the dates on the beginning, but you can find them at Golden Apples USA on the Instagrams. You also find them on Bandcamp, goldenapples.bandcamp.com, and also follow the record label Lamo Records, and you can buy the records there as well. I will have all of these linked into the show notes right below you. If you put your eyes below the player and hit the show notes, you will find links to these. You can buy the record right from your phone, or go stream it, or go do whatever you want to do. It's your life. Don't listen to me. Have a good time, and go see Golden Apples. And I'm going to see them when they come to LA at the Masonic Lodge on 9/23. It's just like a week away. They're booking it. They're driving really fast. Austin, Dallas, Mesa, Los Angeles. That is a lot of drive time. So thank you, Russell and band, for being out there braving the highways and doing the good work and coming out on the road and touring, because that's rad. And everyone should do that if you can. If you get the opportunity, get some buds, throw them in a van, go drive around, play music. It's not a bad way to waste a bunch of time and money. And have a good time and have fun. Awesome. All right. Well, everyone be well. See you on Monday with a halftime with my good friend Aaron Farley. See you then. Bye.
I think eventually I got to a point where I was like, I kind of just want like a job. Like I want a job that I don't feel so emotionally tethered to.